Eternal. Let's get one thing straight. Doom Eternal has easily been the most polished and enjoyable experience I've had with a game in years. With the uncompromising combat and intelligent enemy AI, Doom Eternal has honestly blown the competition out of the water. Again, setting an example of what a true FPS should look and, more importantly, play like. But much like my faith in Cyberpunk 2077 becoming playable, all things must come to an end, as this is Doom Eternal's final chapter, The Ancient Gods Part 2, where our eternal fight comes to an epic conclusion, as we rip and tear throughout the entirety of hell itself to take on the Dark Lord and banish all of his hellish creations to whence they came. But of course, with this being Doom Eternal, id Software have filled these 3 final levels with mysterious and elusive Easter eggs and hidden references. And with this being the last chapter of Doom Eternal, you just know I had to dive back in and uncover every single Easter egg and hidden reference within their latest chapter, The Ancient Gods Part 2. And of course give this game the final send-off it truly deserves. Especially seeing as I have previously uncovered over 160 hidden Easter eggs and references hidden within Doom Eternal's main campaign and The Ancient Gods Part 1. As well as this, I've made separate videos in the past for every single Daisy location hidden within the game's main campaign and DLC. So if you fancy catching up and seeing all of these secrets this game has to offer, I will leave links along with timestamps down in the description below. Now, before we begin, I quickly like to say that if you are new to the channel or have been a long-time subscriber here, I have a pretty important announcement to make at the end of this very video, so please stand by for that. Also, a disclaimer, with this being the last piece of DLC for Doom Eternal, id Software have reused some of the Easter eggs from the previously mentioned main campaign, but for continuity's sake they are still worth covering here to complete this hellish saga. To which, all in all, I found up to 40 additional Easter eggs within this final chapter. So sit back, relax, as we unearth these final mysteries. And with that, we travel to the first location of this otherworldly adventure, the Earth Sphere, where we can find a few hidden and interesting Easter eggs lying around, the first of which we can find towards the closing moments of the first half of the level, shortly after we've received the Sentinel Hammer and fought through the onslaught of demonic cretins, where we'll arrive in what looks like to be a dark and dank catacomb, and there, hidden within a crack in the wall, we can find our favourite cotton-tailed friend, Daisy. This is of course an Easter egg towards the Slayer's pet rabbit, Daisy. Now, recently it seems that studio director Hugo Martin confirmed our past theory on Daisy's physical appearance within each level of Doom Eternal, that being that the Daisy we see before us isn't actually real, and only a manifestation of the Doomslayer's past trauma, and seeing her throughout each level only serves as a constant reminder to what the demons took from him all those years ago. Anyway, moving on, shortly after this encounter we'll come out into this open area. Now if you follow the area around and grapple hook to reach the higher levels, if we dash to the left, not the right, we'll arrive at this broken bridge, where we can discover sitting atop of a barrel tucked away in the corner an old sprite of an impaled body. Now if you saw my first Easter egg video, you'll know that this is not only a reference to the classic Doom titles, but this impaled sprite is also located within the antagonist's office of Olivia Pierce within Doom 2016, as we can see the impaled sprite within a mini-game called Demon Destruction that resides on her desktop. Continuing on, once you have completed the first section of the level, we'll be greeted by an awe-inducing cutscene, where the Slayer goes all Dragonborn on us. While this is an amazing transition into the second half of the level, there is one hidden reference that lies within. And it is actually hidden within the design of this dragonic creation. As it turns out, the design of this creature took influence from a popular DC graphic novel, Dark Knight's Metal, taking influence from a version of Batman, The Batman Who Laughs, a dark and twisted hybrid of both Bruce Wayne and his archenemy, the Joker. Our next Easter egg can be found in the opening area of the second half of the level, where if we come towards this cliffside and take a gander below, we'll find placed upon the fringe of this cliffside an aquatic birthday cake. Now this unsuspecting birthday cake is actually a reference to one of, if not Doom 2016's most obscure Easter egg, an Easter egg that can be found within a secret area in Doom 2016, to be more specific on the 10th level Titan's Realm, where we can find a skeleton sporting a birthday hat sat beside the same ocean themed cake, a great callback to Doom 2016's most mysterious Easter egg. This Easter egg is also a repeat and can be found on the 5th level Super Gore Nest here within Eternal. Moving forward, if we return to what remains of Earth after the devastating events of Doom Eternal's main campaign, amongst the rubble and debris we can find our first Easter egg for the second location, Reclaimed Earth. Because if you look out towards the fencing just to the right of this opening area, we'll find a bunch of posters stuck to the fence referring to a ton of missing people. All of the names that are presented to us here are all names of id Software developers and quality assurance team. A nice touch by id Software to immortalize them here within the final chapter of Doom Eternal. Another hidden Easter egg can be found floating throughout the wind and is pretty much impossible to find without using the game's photo mode, because if we zoom in on one of the pieces of paper we can find a ridiculously obscure Easter egg for id Software's other IP, Rage 2, as we can see the announcement artwork model underneath an article talking about a post-apocalyptic wasteland. This Easter egg can also be found in both the levels Super Gore Nest and Final Sin. Look, I have to say this, and I've said this before, but this has to go down as one of the most obscure Easter eggs of all time. Moving on, within the same area we can find a lone desk with a familiar detail sat atop of it. Walk over to it and we'll find a lone letter that reads, "Welcome to Doom. You are doomed. To doom or not to doom. Speak of the devil." Now this is in fact an Easter egg and a reference taken from the opening level of Doom 2016, the UAC, and where we can find the exact same letter welcoming us to Doom 2016. Shortly after this, we'll encounter our next Easter egg within this open area. Take care of the smattering hellspawn around us, and underneath the broken train tracks, written upon a nearby pillar, "Deliver us from evil." Now on the surface this inscription just looks like a representation of the current state of humanity during this hellish invasion, although this seemingly inconspicuous message is actually in fact a hidden Easter egg and reference to the 2014 horror film of the same name. To be more specific, this message placement actually reflects a particular scene in where Eric Bana's character investigates a series of demonic possession cases and comes across a building with scratched out writing upon the wall, similar to what we see here throughout this level. Speaking of writing on the walls, just opposite our current location, we'll approach an open arena filled to the brim with tough and unforgiving enemies. Not only this, but embedded within the foundation of this area are more hidden messages which again seems to reflect the current state of civilization pleading for the Slayer's return to banish this demonic invasion. Now in no particular order, besides the Gore Nest we can faintly find several messages that read, "And he will come." From this location turn 180 degrees and you will find another message that reads, "With sword and might." And lastly, besides the Gore Nest itself, we'll see an inscription on the wall that reads, "Rip and tear." Again, together these messages seem to form a plea for the Slayer to save humanity, and even references the Slayer wielding the crucible to destroy the icon of sin here on Earth. "And he will come with sword and might, rip and tear." Another tiny message can be found nearby reading, "Rip and tear until it is done." Of course, the famous words of King Novik. Before we move on, upon the upper levels of this arena, we can also find two more messages that read, "Cleanse this land," and "Your sword, our strength." Again, another subtle reference towards the Sentinels and the Crucible sword. Again, these aren't really classed as the biggest Easter eggs, but for continuity's sake, I thought they were still worth covering here within this final video. Up next, if we look back into the city's wreckage, you will see a tall building with a letter missing from its company's name. Now, as it turns out that this building and company is in fact named after id Software's lead lighting developer, Garrett Morin. Moving on a little later into the level, and we can find some very subtle Easter eggs that can be found amongst the rubble and trash of society's destruction, as besides a lone trash can we'll discover some delectable sweets and candy. these, the first of which being a pack of fruit chews, whose mascot, as we can see, is an Easter egg and reference towards the infamous Commander Keen's Dopefish. And secondly, we'll see a box of Cocoa Cacos, which of course is a hidden reference towards the Cacodemons here within Doom. Continuing forward, just a stone's throw away, we'll arrive at a city wreckage, submerged within flooding sewer waters. Now if we look across the way, we'll discover a broken street sign that reads Taggart Way. Now if you are familiar with Doom lore, you'll know that Flynn Taggart was the name given to the Doomslayer within the non-canon novel series first published alongside the original Doom series back in 1995. It's also worth noting that this Easter egg can also be found shortly after this location as well. I have to say, it's always nice to see id Software referencing some of Doom's more obscure past and lore. Moving on, and we'll come across a random advertisement that reads, "Don't let dying stop you from living. Consider a mind transfer." Now on the surface, this advertisement just seems to be like a random asset placement, but in fact this is a hidden lore reference to the fate of the one and only Samuel Hayden, as Hayden's body was diagnosed with stage 4 incurable cancer and was only given a few months to live, but Hayden avoided his death by transferring parts of his brain into a 3-meter tall mechanical body, allowing him to be virtually immortal. So again, a great little Easter egg from id Software for some of us lore nerds out there. Following this, we can find a truly touching tribute to a man who, well, touched my life and is the reason for the creation and success of some of my favorite titles of all time. As printed upon a poster for the Chairman's Club, we can find a very heartfelt tribute to the late CEO/chairman and founder of Bethesda and ZeniMax Media, Mr. Robert A. Altman, who recently passed away back in February. News that completely shocked the Bethesda and gaming community worldwide. A hidden detail within this Easter egg comes within the chairman's existence date, which actually happens to be the same year Robert founded ZeniMax Media back in 1999. What an appropriate and amazing tribute to an industry-changing man. Now from one legend to the next, besides this advertisement, we can see an ad for a music store named Rip and Tear, with a close-up of a guitar. Now this is actually a subtle reference to the industry-shaking composer of both Doom 2016 and Eternal's soundtrack, Mick Gordon, as well as being an Easter egg for the track under the same name within Doom 2016. Shortly after this encounter, we'll discover a few hidden Easter eggs in the form of musical parody posters. First up, to the left of this stairwell, we can find a poster which references that of id Software's older IP, Commander Keen. Now not only is this an Easter egg for one of id Software's older titles, but the overall design of this poster also mimics that of the musical Hamilton. Following this, we'll find a poster for Bats, which of course is a reference to the musical turned awful CG film Cats. On the opposite side, we can find our first Daisy Easter egg of the level in the form of a musical poster, of course referencing the Slayer's pet rabbit Daisy, as well as this also referencing that of the musical Annie. And lastly, we find another poster that references both Commander Keen's Dopefish and that of the Lion King. Now once we've taken in the sights, if we leave this area and head towards the left hand side, you'll come across another advertisement for a donut store named Bring Us Doughnuts. Now as it turns out, the actual design of this company's branding seems to take reference to the real world food conglomerate Dunkin Donuts, a delicious little Easter egg that can easily go unnoticed. A little further into the level and we could discover one of the hardest Easter eggs to find within the entirety of this DLC. Because if we travel to the highest point of this level, hidden amongst the giant cavity of this building, towering above us, we'll find our second Daisy location. Again, this location took me days to find, so yeah, thanks for that id Software. You hit her pretty well, I'll admit. Now reaching ever closer towards the level's end, and we'll find hidden within meters of each other a bloody office filled with blood and guts. But upon the whiteboard, we could see a familiar Easter egg. a horrendous message written in blood that reads, "Do not shoot." Now this is actually a recurring Easter egg that first appeared within Doom 2016 outside the antagonist's office of Olivia Pierce. Speaking of recurring Easter eggs, we'll uncover in a nearby office a small sketch of what looks like to be a cartoon cat surrounded by hearts. Now if you saw my Mega Doom Eternal Easter egg video, you'll know that this Easter egg is referencing an animator slash YouTuber named Lee Hardcastle and his ClayCat's Doom animation series. As I previously stated, this Easter egg can also be found twice within the level Ark complex. Now the last Easter egg within Reclaimed Earth can be found displayed upon the monitors beside the exiting portal of the level. Now if we look closely, we'll see in the corners the names of both a UAC pipeline supervisor and a technician, M. Kirkpatrick and J. Rosencrantz. This is actually a reference to id Software's environmental designers Mark Kirkpatrick and James Rosencrantz. And with that, we travel to our final destination, to the heart of hell itself, Immora. Now our next few Easter eggs and references come throughout the opening cutscene of this very level, as the design and storytelling of this very scene is clearly a huge reference to the 2019 Avengers blockbuster Endgame, as the Sentinel armies mimic the actions of the Avengers transporting into the final big battle using multiple portals, a great reference to one of pop culture's biggest moments. Another subtle Easter egg can be found within the actual design of the fortress for the Dark Lord, as by simply glancing at the demonic stronghold, you may not be any the wiser, but if you take a closer look at this shape of this monolithic fort, you can actually see that the design mimics that of the actual Doom Eternal logo. So it seems that this ending in this giant battle may have been planned out a lot earlier than we think. Now personally, after following Doom Eternal since its release and going out of my way to discover every single Easter egg and secret within the game itself, it's honestly been amazing to delve into this world and present all of the secrets for you all to see. But now we've come to the end of the road, and what better in-game Easter egg to end on than our last Daisy location, because if we come to the final area, sat behind the portal towards the Dark Lord's fight, we'll find waiting for us is our favourite cotton-tailed buddy, Daisy. And at the end of the road, out of all the Easter eggs we've found, Daisy is here as the last physical Easter egg within the whole Doom Eternal experience. And I can think of no better way to end this game and video series than finding Daisy for the last time. It's almost heartbreaking that right before the Slayer's last fight, he gets to say goodbye to his friend for the final time. Shortly after you've defeated the Dark Lord and the credits roll, if you wait long enough, there will be an after credits Easter egg that will play out like this.
Hello? Are you still here? Great. I have a message for you from Marty, Hugo, and all the hardworking devs at id Software. Thanks for playing. Hell wouldn't be the same without you.
Last but not least, our final Daisy Easter egg comes to us within the official artwork for The Ancient Gods Part 2, as if we take a closer look to the left hand side besides the first row of Sentinel soldiers, we'll see Daisy standing up and ready for battle. And with that, those were my findings on every Easter egg and hidden reference within Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 2. I hope you have enjoyed and learned something new regarding the secrets of our favourite Doomslayer. And of course, with this being the last piece of DLC for Doom Eternal, our journey to uncover every Easter egg has come to an end. It's been such a labour of love to delve into these levels. This definitely has been one of the best series I've produced here on this channel. I also want to give a huge thank you to Bethesda UK for sending me the game back in March of last year. This has honestly been one of the best gaming experiences I've ever played, and it kind of saddens me that this experience is all over. But that's just the way things are. All good things must come to an end. Although it does make me proud to know that we have discovered here on this channel over 210 Easter eggs for Doom Eternal since the game's release. So thank you all for being witness to that, and thank you all for enjoying these videos. Now, speaking of things coming to an end, I would like to make a huge announcement. I would like to announce that this Doom Eternal video isn't only the last Doom video, but will also be the last video here on JustDom Show. I want to thank you all for the years of support you have shown me. Your viewership and support have meant the world to me and has pushed me to create and do some amazing things that I will never soon forget. Although I do want to say that this isn't the end. To summarize, my new direction of content i.e. the Skyrim video, has been completely different and unique within the Bethesda community. But with the style being so different, it feels like it's time to move on and start fresh with a brand new channel, a new direction, new projects that are simply bigger than myself, which may include music. It sounds corny, I know, but I just have a vision to become something more unique and something different within the space. But I cannot wait to show you all the plans that are already in motion. I mean, it will be tough to start over, I'm sure, but with this new style and new direction I'm going in, I'm confident that this is the right choice for me and the direction I'm going here on YouTube. Again, I just want to thank you for everything you have done for me and my content, and I hope to see you all on the brand new channel, which I will keep you updated on once the channel is live. But until then, please stand by.